All right, we're going to continue with the news and all along those lines because we definitely got news things going on in the world. So we're going to continue with what's happening, and a number of things have been taking place, and we'll join the various discussions that are going on. And folks will hopefully be joining me very shortly, and we'll continue these discussions and see what folks have got to say about a number of the things that we were talking about and all along those lines. So definitely hoping that folks are about to join the conversation and see what they've got going on in their world and along those lines. As a matter of fact, we're having a very heated discussion, and hopefully folks will be joining and coming back to that heated discussion. But before we get back to that heated discussion and wait for the rest of the folks to join us and everything, I did see that two issues that we have talked about on this show might have come to a head with each other, and that is the notion of the unions and the notion of the Israeli-Hamas war, because apparently an alleged bus driver boycott has snarled 900 Detroit Jews that were actually going to D.C. for a pro-Israel rally. So this is one of those cases where folks might see two stories that are intertwined, because I do know that sometimes there's been conversations around the labor strikes, whether that is the writer strike or whether that is the strike with the United Auto Workers, or whether that is the strike here in North Carolina with the sanitation workers and a number of others. And we do know that sometimes the protests can even lead to incidences of people being felt like they are being displaced, as we saw here in Durham when some folks were seeing the folks that were pro-Palestine definitely stopping the traffic and all along those lines. But in this case, it looks like, according to the Times of Israel, an alleged bus driver boycott is what has stopped 900 Detroit Jews that were on their way to the DC pro-Israel rally. And of course, there have been a number of rallies on both sides of the aisle in that case. So I'm going to bring in Nick and definitely Kim, and we've got other folks that are here. We were having a very heated debate before things got a little bit off track and all along those lines. But
divine intervention.
No problem. One of the things I was curious about is, I know that protest is very much a part of society. We've seen it. We can even go back before the 60s into like the 40s and every other kind of era when protest was very much, we can go back to the Boston Tea Party, and when the protest is very much a part of our society and all along those lines. But sometimes the protests intervene and they cause discomfort, which is, I guess, what a protest is supposed to do to the people that are there for whatever reasons. I know that some of the people that were at Woolworths weren't necessarily the racists and all along those lines, but when the sit-ins were going on, it disrupted. And here in Durham, I'm sure that when the Allen building was taken over, it disrupted some of the students and all along those lines. And in this particular case, we were talking about Israel and all in that space. Apparently, there were some folks that wanted to be pro-Israel in their support of Israel in their protests going on in DC. And I know there have been a number of protests both in support of Israel and in support of Palestine. And apparently there is a bus boycott, and that might be stopping them from getting to their destination and all along those lines. So it seems like this might be one of the cases where issues are intertwined and are impacting, even though they are not the same issue. But I just wonder y'all's thoughts around that, because like I said, we know that there have been a number of boycotts, and apparently in this case, the bus boycott may be impacting the folks that want to be protesting in support of Israel.
My thoughts on protesting is, I'm not going to do it. It's like saying, hey, would you like to be a pawn in a chess game? No, I don't want to be a pawn. I want to be the queen or a king or a bishop or a knight, but not a pawn. All the people that protesters are pawns in a chess game, a world chess game. And if you want to demote yourself to pawn, fine. I'd rather play golf this afternoon than go to any protest anywhere about anything. I just frankly won't do it. That being said, there are plenty of pawns out there, so they can jump in and do whatever they want to do. But for me, I'm out.
Kim,
I
along
want
those
to
same
be a
lines.
king because the king tells everyone what to do, but I guess I'm gonna have to change my sex, right?
But you got to be
I
the
want
queen,
to be
and
a
I actually
king,
have something.
and
I
Yeah, I'm
actually have
not
a story about that as well, and we'll get to that before we end this
Yeah.
second half of the World Edition, and all along those lines, and all in that space. But in that same protest, see, I have been part of the protest. I've actually been part of protests for Latin American rights. I've been part of Occupy. I've been part of a number of other protests, and I actually personally think that protests can be a way to get your message heard. So I disagree with you in that sense, Nick, because I definitely think that
I'd rather
sometimes
make an argument before the Supreme Court of the United States, which I've done before, and have a better chance of an argument. I'd rather go to Washington, D.C., which I've done before, and line the pockets with money in senators' hands and congressmen's hands, and then I get things done. But if you think I'm going to be a pawn and jump into somebody's game, I ain't going to do it. Mark, it ain't going to happen. Now, that being said, look, some people like to play golf. Nothing happens when you play golf. Some people like to go to protest.
So by your logic, the March on Washington and the things that MLK did had no impact on our society by your logic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I wouldn't do it. Other people would.
That's different, though. Nick. You're saying that for me it wouldn't. That doesn't mean anything. That's like saying if I look out my backyard and a crime doesn't happen, crime really doesn't exist. That doesn't work. Protests are actually a positive thing.
Protests are positive for me, it's a pain in the rear. Okay, I plan on going to Washington D.C. in the next couple of weeks because I want to see the National Monument. I want to see the Smithsonian. What I don't want to see is a bunch of people running around protesting.
A protest is supposed to cause discomfort because if you don't cause discomfort,
then add that to the reason I don't want them
actually being ignored.
I don't want them in my space.
The point of a protest is to cause discomfort.
Good. I don't want them in my space. Please remove.
Too bad. They've got it. Then listen to their message.
That's the reason we have laws and lawyers, young man. Is because the lawyers
allow for protest.
I'm going to tell you guys, none of that's going to matter. Israel's going to take over Gaza, then they're going to take over another country, then they're going to take over us.
They're not going to take any other country.
So it's going to be BRICS. It's going to be BRICS.
But it's going to take Gaza because Gaza's
Israel.
They're just going to take Gaza because Gaza's doing is setting up places so they can launch missiles. Okay, so now they're going to be flattened. They're going to be flattened. Okay, it's all going to be a cement slab. And you know what? Too bad. Then Chitovi can run over there and protest.
You're murdering people.
We always, people always support the wrong person, and then they go,
yesterday. You have no sanctity of life anyway. You murder unborn babies, so why would you?
Incorrect. As I stated, and we now have a woman on the panel.
You support letting the born babies get abused, unfed, killed.
That's called life.
I support life. I support real pro-life.
Everybody in life will be abused at some point in time.
And support wanted children to be born. I support real pro-life. Nobody takes care of those babies, and then they suffer horrible, horrible lives of being tortured. 24 million children a year are abused.
Yeah,
in the U.S. alone, Nick. You know these stats.
All that gets started. Let me see. The lady and the guy never got together, right? Wrong. So I mean,
this correct. You're talking about you were just saying that. Oh well, it's the woman's choice. Well, why didn't the guy?
Women's and man's choice. It's their decision. The last thing
what happens in rape? You're saying that a child, that a 13-year-old child who gets raped by an uncle, must bury the baby.
You're going to take care of your baby. That's just
hold on a second. So Nick, by your logic,
man's choice.
No, but Nick, by your logic, should we be in control of everybody's bedroom and all along those lines? Should we making decisions? Because there are some things that are technically illegal that are still on the books and everything. And I don't want to go into details of what I'm talking about. Folks that are listening can go and read and figure out what I'm talking about. But there are things that are illegal that are still on the book. So by your logic, should we be in control of everything that takes place in the bedroom, or is that one of those sanctity places that we don't need to be trying to dictate what is going on in those private bedrooms?
Oh, you mean you're talking about the law? Should you abide by the law or not? Is that what we're talking about?
No, he's asking, should we have laws laws dictating what you can and can't do in the bedroom?
Exactly.
I'm going to file for a motion for specific, more specific, to be more specific on that. That's a very broad and vague question.
But if you want me to be specific, I'll get very specific. There are laws against oral sex, and many people practice it in that are still existing on the books today.
Right. Okay. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you must abide by the law.
To have babies, reverse. That's what I think.
Here's a funny thing. Nick started last half hour talking about how we waste so much money and we spend so much money on the CHIPS Act. Oh my gosh. But now he wants to spend so much money creating laws to dictate what you can and can't do in the bedroom. He wants to force women to have babies. He doesn't even want to give children the actual necessities they need when they're
living in a world. Do you know, oddly enough, you cannot have sex.
Of course he is.
Okay, oddly enough, you cannot have sex with a
hold on a second. I know we're going to get to Israel, and I know Natasha wants to get to this, but since we're on this topic, there was another thing that I was getting ready to get to, and I want to hear your thoughts. You are a lawyer, Nick, but the Texas School Board, we know Texas is very conservative. They reversed their decision to ban trans students from a musical. So they just came down with this. So now that trans student can go and participate in the musical that is going on. And we know Texas can be a very conservative state and everything. So what is your idea and what is your thoughts around that? And will it go to the Supreme Court? And what will the Supreme Court say? Because apparently the Texas School Board originally said, nope, it's a trans student. You can't be in this musical. But now they have reversed their decision.
Yeah, it's whatever remember, the thing is it's society norms. It's whatever the law says it is. So if they reverse their decision, they reverse their decision. Law is not a fixed thing. It's just like Jatovy says, hey, look, there shouldn't be a law against having sex with a horse. He thinks having sex with a horse should be okay. But currently there's a law against it. He goes, no, what I do in my bedroom's okay, so I can go have sex with a horse. Okay. But I hate to tell Jatovy there's laws against you having sex with a horse right now.
There's no laws.
I would pick the horse out of your
bed beside you either.
Yeah, you went to a horse thing.
Jatovy, get rid of that horse out of your bedroom.
I mean,
I'll wake up with the horse's head beside you, Nick. You know somebody's mad at you.
Yeah, I know.
I want to add something here though about
the mad at me all the time.
There really are no chip manufacturers left in the U.S. We might still design them here, but we do not manufacture them here. But I will add something. Why don't we, just do what we've been doing the last 20 years? Just keep producing manufacturers that get products that are already built, and we manufacture the stamp that puts on there made in the USA, so we can still get government contracts. I mean, that's what we've been doing for the past 25 years.
Yeah, but
that kills jobs.
That's all we do. That's all we're going to do.
That's what these
like it or not. And I know Jatovy is very pro corporate welfare. Okay, Jatovy, that right-wing Republican Jatovy is so for corporate welfare. He has no problems with giving away major companies billions of dollars at taxpayers.
There's a difference between corporate welfare and corporate investment.
His corporate welfare. Corporate welfare is okay.
There's a difference.
So to tell you what we need to do is announce on the show
investment into chip manufacturing to build manufacture chips here, where we have the auto industry, which is actually losing out on a lot of manufacturing due to a lot of the EV vehicles. And guess what? The evolution of EV. Guess what needs to happen in those EV vehicles, especially even the combustion engine vehicles. Chips. You know what they want to manufacture here? They can actually redesign the actual torn down auto industry manufacturing plants. You can change those into chip manufacturers. There's a lot of that needs to go on, and that's what this investment is about.
Well, I also want to note that, you know, I know
Not
that new
a
tax laws are coming out. They apparently passed some new laws. And I want to vote on something. Okay. I want to add something to the law. Anytime the government goes on break or strike or whatever they shut down, then none of the citizens have to pay any taxes, and it's not going to have to pay it back for that time frame. So we get to work and earn that money back for ourselves. So every time they shut down, we keep our money.
Now,
Then when they go back to work,
I wouldn't do that, because then you're going to have people advocating, hey, shut down all the time. But then you got people who are struggling that depend upon the government services. So I would do it a different way. And I agree with you that we should have some penalty there. How about we take a cut? How, if it goes on a government shutdown or even gets close, how about those senators? How about the House congressmen don't get paid?
Or
how about
better yet,
to their district?
I got a better one. They get paid, but all of their check goes to fund the people who need it. So all of the government's paychecks while they're shut down, they get paid, but their money has to get paid taxes. All of it, 100%.
Or go to certain services and everything.
I agree
you know, one of the other things that we have on this network is a bullying show, and we sometimes talk about gun rights as well. But there was an incident recently that some people would say that bullying isn't real, or that it's not a epidemic. I know that our show Where Is the Love actually talks about the epidemic of bullying, so it seems like it's very real even on the global side of things. So some people might say that certain countries are bullying certain other countries, but there was an incident recently that did not involve guns. You'll be glad to know this, Nick. It didn't involve guns. It was actually, but it did involve murder, and it was actually in Las Vegas, Nevada. But 8 teenagers were arrested on murder charges after they saw this young boy, 17-year-old, and beat him to death, and all along those lines. So that seems definitely a case of a bullying incident. Of course, they was beaten by a mob and all in that space. So do everybody here feel that bullying is a problem, and is this something that we might see more of? Because I know we've been talking about gun violence, and some people will say, but hey, what about the ones that do it by knives, the way that we used to do it in the old days, or the folks that do it the old-fashioned fisticuff fashion, which apparently was what this was. And this unfortunately 17-year-old lost his life when he was mobbed by a mob of youngsters, 8 teenagers that beat him.
Hey, this is why I carry this with me everywhere I go.
You
know, I'm going to defend myself. I'm not going to attack anybody, but I also use it to open all the boxes that come in from Amazon right away. But, I believe that the bully situation has gotten out of hand, but the laws and the schools write the laws to protect the bullies, right? And they recently, were working on, this Bully Act thing. And all it was is, bullies can't get put on detention. Stupid, but they always support the bullies. You can ask any parent who has had to deal with this in the past 20 years, and we've had to go to the office. And finally, I look at my kid and go, beat the shit out of him and get your days off, and I'll take you out and we'll go to Disneyland for your days off, because I'm not putting up with you getting bullied and them doing nothing about it. And I said this in front of the principal. In fact, I got in the principal's face and started pushing him until he felt like he was being bullied. And I go, what, you going to call the police? You don't do that for my son. So I think bullying is because people don't pay attention to it and nip it in the bud, and the kids snap, and then they go and they do what they can do, just like the Palestinians did. They were bullied and bullied and bullied until somebody just snapped and said, you know what, let's throw a bomb at Israel to make them stop.
I think
and kids do that too. They're going, I can't take this anymore, and they take a gun to school and they'll either kill themselves but the victims are put down. The victims are made fun of. The victims, like that little 8-year-old that ended up going to school over a year ago and shot himself at school because he couldn't take it anymore.
So I have to push back a little bit, because bullying in school, it's again, we try so hard to pare it down to one thing or one silver bullet that, hey, that's the answer. But no, there's a multitude of problems. I mean, if you look at And even in the example you talked about, Kim, where you got in the principal's face, well, kids can do that too. And because of the way the way that most parents are, or that a lot of parents are, and because of the rules and regulations, the laws that we can constantly put on the books, and we're threatening teachers if you have a bad kid and that kid is bullying other kids in school, and then that teacher goes and says you have a bad kid, you know what? That parent is now coming to the principal and coming to the school board trying to get that teacher fired. So therefore, now you have teachers walking on eggshells, and they don't really have the power they need to do particular things. So when we want them to support kids in particular ways, it's hard for them to even do that, because then if they do, does that mean their job is gone? So now you have this whole you have this eggshell problem that you're having teachers to walk on. Because I mean, heck, you're telling teachers they don't know how to teach, because oh my gosh, there's a book in the school that Nick hates that talks about two male penguins raising a baby. Oh Lord, we must ban that because they don't know how to teach. So teachers again on eggshells.
And you know what that book was about? Being real humanity, and people couldn't stand that thought, right?
Yeah,
my God, there's real humanity in this world, and we can't allow it to be taught.
I don't want my kids listening to male penguins raising babies. Not interested. So let's go to a solution. Charter schools. Okay.
No.
There's some people, they don't want to listen to the garbage of the public school system. So they send them to private schools, which I was lucky enough.
I like traditional schools too. They're not private.
Charter schools is a good solution, because then you can send to the kids, just like you have homeschooling, send the kids to other schools.
You have no regulation on homeschools.
The way they have the school system now, where you're all forced to go to these cruddy public schools, creates more problems than it does solutions.
You have no regulation in homeschools.
Here we go. K through 12 education in the United States is not even in the top 25. Now, solution and this is only because I had worked in the public school system for a small period of time.
Incorrect. I've worked in the public school system as well. My parents have worked in the public school system.
Charter schools, baby.
I know that. Charter schools are not the end all be all answer. Do you know why? Because charter schools get money. There's not a lot of regulation on charter schools.
As a consumer, I had an opportunity to go to public schools and private schools, even in college. Well, let me tell you something.
Become a pay service
schools
and then
are
blocks
better.
Particular kids
private
from
schools
even
are
getting
better.
Charter schools.
You get your degree. Public schools.
It's a pay for education. It's a pay to play
college level.
It leaves out half of the. It leaves out level, low income.
I wouldn't.
Lower income.
I hope my grandkids do not go to UNC Chapel Hill. I'm praying they go anywhere else than that horrible public school.
Just really quickly, what do you think of magnet schools? Because here in Durham, we have a lot of magnet schools that are specialized schools and all along those lines. So what is your thoughts around magnet schools? Because I know that there are a number of them, including some that deal with technology and some that deal with a number of other things. And that is not necessarily a charter school. That's a magnet school.
Yeah, well, magnet schools are good. In other words, having school choice makes a difference. It makes America strong. This public school system.
You're forgetting all the problems. This is the problem we get into.
Take the public schools and you like to do protest and riots. Why don't you do them in the public schools and just get rid of all of them? And then get rid of all public schools and make everything private school.
Hold on a second. There is an idea that the Republicans have put out there in that same idea. So I want to know, because I saw a text that somebody sent me, but apparently this was back, it might have been leaked, but it was back from February, not recently, but they might be bringing it back, the elimination of the Department of Education. So is this something that we should eliminate? Because this is something that one of the Republicans put out there.
I'll add that to eliminate the Department of Labor, also eliminate the Department of Education. I agree.
These elimination of departments forgets about what the department actually does. Again,
they don't do anything.
You're pushing, charter schools are great. You're forgetting about the bad that charter schools do. The same thing with, we have free private schools. Sure. But you know who's not getting into those free private schools? People who are in the lower income, middle to lower income. You have to have a particular wage to make it in there. Therefore, you leave out a ton of the low income families that don't get an opportunity. Public school systems are good. They are
you leave out.
Everyone here went to a public school system.
I want to throw in
Every
something.
single one here went to a public school system.
My sister was not wealthy at all. In fact, no money when she got left with the kids. And she entered the charter school program, which is a tuition-free opportunity for a more private school opportunity. And why can't we just turn all the public schools into that? Because there you have a better teacher-to-child ratio, much better. They cater the needs to each individual child. Yes, they do have to wear uniforms, but that made it cheaper for my sister than having to worry about whether they could compete wearing the latest fashions and be in with the group, or everyone. But I really liked it. Now I worked in that system with her kids too. I would attend the teacher meetings, helping her with her children, and I truly loved the way they were able to work with the children. The bullying factor was a little bit less. Occasionally, teacher.
So let's be honest. In that charter school setup that you're talking about, it was funded pretty well, correct?
It was funded by the state.
Those teachers actually got paid really well, right? So
but it wasn't paid by the people. But it wasn't paid by the people.
It wasn't paid by the people. So basically, the charter school system took money from the public school system to be funded.
That's why I say all of the schools.
Wait. Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, I did.
The charter school system took money from the public school system to fund itself pretty well to pay the teachers.
But Jacoby, you didn't listen to me.
You're skipping. You're skipping.
No. I would accept that as a friendly amendment. That's great.
Funded the public school system.
Right, but you're not listening. I say all the schools should get the funding to operate like a charter school. That's what I said.
Funding the public school system correctly, because you're saying that the charter school system, because many charter schools are actually funded elsewhere and not just they take money from the public school system, but they also get money outside of the school system. So
they raise money.
You're saying that the money that charter schools have is more than those in the public school. So those teachers tend to go there. So if we funded the public school system the same way you're talking about the charter schools, would we even need charter schools?
No, that's what I'm saying. Why don't we?
What are we arguing about? We're talking about.
That's what I'm saying, Jacoby. Why are we not taking the money and convert the schools to operate like charter schools? That's all I'm saying. Because charter schools are not private. They're not private. Any child can go to them. They are not private.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have private schools.
I love their philosophy. If every child can be treated like if a child has a disability.
There are differences in the charter school. There are differences.
Hold on a second. There's a whole differences around the charter schools, and hopefully one of these days I'll bring in one of my mentors, and I brought it in before. It's actually the reason that I got to Marquette University. But Howard Fuller is a advocate for charter schools and everything along those lines. He's actually from this area. He's actually from the Durham area, and was actually one of those civil rights protesters that you don't like, Nick, and everything. So he's actually one of those civil rights protesters, and actually how he got involved in charter schools, because he was actually involved in a number of civil rights struggles here, including, I want to say he was a part of the Allen takeover on Duke's campus, am I remembering correctly, and all along those lines. But he's definitely a civil rights pioneer that is now a charter school advocate and has his own charter school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But I have a question, because I'm going to divert the conversation just slightly. We can get back to education on another time. But does anybody at all follow the Geneva Convention? Because the Geneva Convention, as I understand it, is that you're not supposed to use anything that is like the schools or the hospitals or anything else as a part of your defense mechanism. And it seems like Israel is saying that that's what Palestine has done. There are some other people that are saying that Israel has done similar stuff and everything. And definitely we can even go to Ukraine and Russia, because every time that I look at the news and I see a hospital being used or a school being tortured or a lot of these other things, I'm going like, does anybody, and I've never served in the military, but I do have friends that have served in the military, so I understand the notion of the Geneva Convention, which is that certain things are supposed to be off limits and everything, but I'm thinking that that's not the case.
That several of the Israel strikes were considered illegal. Now you're in war. I don't know how you consider anything illegal. But it was mentioned in one of the news stories last night that I was listening to, that it was considered illegal to strike those hospitals. Now, again, you're talking about Israel, who, and Palestine, and you got all these people with their brains sucked out by zombies that think Israel should have a right to kill all the people in Gaza, whether they're Christians or, just regular Palestinians or anyone who decided to convert from Jew. And they're giving the Jews the right to do this. So, it's, according to some of the people I listened to lately, they go, oh, it's just casualty war, it's just collateral, right? Human lives, who cares, right? That's what they say. That's not what I say, but that's what a lot of people are saying.
Well, that's what they say about unborn children. So what?
It's just babies, right?
Yeah, it's just unborn babies. So kill them, make an abortion. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? I mean, if you're for killing the babies in Gaza, then you might as well be for abortion too.
That's right.
Why have these babies born if you're going to agree to kill them?
That's right.
I think trying to relate the two.
Wait, President Jacoby is about to speak.
Exactly. So please, counsel, I've got some words of wisdom for you. Trying to relate you to create a correlation or a connection between abortion and what's going on in Israel right now with the Gaza Strip and West Bank and the bombing and everything. There's no connection. And then the notion that it is a casualty is wrong. It's a human life. Humanity has been lost in this situation, and we keep going. And Sasha, I know it gets to you, but I'm sorry. The people of Palestine, the Palestinian people are not Hamas. The people of Gaza are not Hamas. And it is sad that, yes, they've been, trying to utilize safe houses in hospitals or schools or whatever, if that happens. But there has to be a better way than destroying the hospital, killing the patients, telling, hey, patients, you got to leave. But even the UN or the Red Cross or those individuals, the humanitarians that are going in there to do surgeries on and help out even the neonatal babies that are there, are saying that it's a death sentence for these individuals to leave. So you're already trying to say, hey, go out, go, leave. We're going to destroy this, but leave.
Jacoby, you're talking to people who don't care. I mean, there are people out there who just don't care. They think that they all deserve to die. I mean, I bumped into someone the other day on the Australian radio station, and he started spewing like a deranged person. His eyes got this big, and he goes, "They all deserve to die. You're stupid. And I'm like, no, they don't. They're human lives. And if you want to go after terrorists, go after them the way we did. No one deserved to die during 9/11. And we could have gone and blown up the whole world after that, but we didn't. We need to catch the tourists, and they're hiding somewhere in one of the places in this world. And we're going to just blow it all up. We didn't. We went after the terrorist. And that's what Israel leaders should do. They have the army to do it. And they just need to be quiet, sit back, wait for them to come out of their holes because they're comfortable, and get them.
I will say that we did not truthfully go after the terrorists. We did kind of blow up a lot of stuff, and we did murder a lot of people and create a lot of hatred.
But not like this.
Further down the line, we did actually do much more surgical than we did just blowing up people. And that's what's going on now is Israel, and everybody knows Hamas is a terrorist organization. They crossed the line. And we have to start from that basis, but people don't understand that if you say you want to see you believe that the Palestinian people deserve life, it's not saying that I'm for Hamas. I'm saying I'm for humanity. These people deserve to live. Same way the Israeli people deserve to live. Same way Jewish individuals deserve to live. Same way Muslim individuals deserve to live.
Why can't we put a desert?
The same way unborn children deserve to live. Oh wait,
Why
they don't.
can't we put a desert between them? You know, unborn
children don't deserve to live. I'm sorry.
Born children deserve to be taken care of too. So if you vote for that, Nick, make sure you put your wallet towards taking care of the ones who are. But let me explain something to you. Why don't we, like they did with Korea, just put a desert between the two countries that are fighting, and just divide them, and you go to your corner, bad, and you go to your corner,
like a demilitarized zone.
Because Hamas may have retaliated for Palestine because Israel keeps hitting and torturing and killing the Palestinians, and Hamas was like, hey, we're here, we're tired of your crap, so we're just going to come back at you because nobody's looking, because nobody cares that you're killing the Palestinians. So I mean, and if you do a little bit of homework about Hamas, majority of them were it was organized by people who, and men, not people, but men who were prisoners of Israel for a long time. And then there was a negotiations done and they were set free. And I guess they're like, Israel sucks. So.
Well, the big thing is, I mean, you're not going to be able to do a militarization zone or military zone because you don't have enough space. The size of the actual area is not big enough. And there should be a two-state. Yeah, there should be a two-state solution, and that two-state solution is what has been proposed, and that would mean because a lot of the problem that goes on, and because of the past 15 years, there have been 5 wars that have broken out. So every 3 years, there's been a war between Israel and the West Bank or Gaza and Hamas because of what's going on. Same thing with Hezbollah and the other Arab nations that sit here and sit there and watch. It's a very complex situation. But again, one of the main issues that the Palestinian people want is their own land, their own state.
But so can I ask you a question?
But the problem, I was just going to say that there's the occupation is part of the problem. Even though they say that, Israel moved out in 2005, 2006, and there's still an occupation going on. And there's still a problem there. There were still problems. October 7th it didn't happen in a vacuum. And this is why when it happened, and I'll say it again, we must know the roots of the problem, because if we don't know the roots of the problem, it's just going to continue to happen over and over. It was a tragedy. It was an atrocity for what happened. And we can all agree to that. But we have to know the roots because it didn't happen in a vacuum. Yeah, it got planned for 2 years, but why was it even planned for 2 years?
Because they got tired of being bullied. But let me ask you this question. Even if you give them their state now, is that going to stop Israel from bullying them and picking on them and killing them little by little?
It all depends on negotiations that go on. There's always going to be,
and they have tried for years, and Israel refuses to negotiate.
Well, right now it's because Netanyahu and Hamas, and I hate to say it this way, again, 2 separate entities. I don't want to be seen as supporting this or supporting. No, I'm just saying the humanity of the situation. Right. There is history there where Netanyahu has propped up Hamas. And yes, Hamas has a thread in it and has a core in it that talks about killing Jewish individuals and killing Israelis. So it is a bad organization, and they are against peace. What they did was against what the Palestinian people wanted. The Palestinian people.
Are you mistaking? So, like when I was growing up, if I had an enemy, my parents would say, hit them first, defend yourself first. It wasn't about no peace or anything like that. But Israel has that thing, that we talked about, where in the past they believe that it's okay to kill anyone non-Jew. And so if you're sitting in a country and that this Jewish person can come in and they've got this mentality because they could kill you, wouldn't you want to teach your kids, hey, just be careful of these guys because they kill people because this is what the religion teaches? And then you've got Hamas, saying, just be careful. And maybe it's best to hit first and rather than risk getting killed. So maybe it's a self-defense mechanism. If you're talking about getting to the roots, maybe it's a self-defense mechanism.
Well, if you're talking about that, deals with history and more so than hitting back and forth. For example, Israel wasn't formed until when? And when it was formed, it was taking land from whom? So you're looking back at history and decades of stuff. But
it's go on forever.
So we can go back. It can go back and forth with, they hit first and they hit, and it becomes a routine. But to get to that root and understand there, and this honestly, I mean, in terms of trying to relate things, this has this crater of separation between the individuals involved is just only growing because there is no empathy. There's not an empathetic bridge to being built. And this is where we have to reach across and figure out ways, because if I think if the Jewish individuals were to reach out, because there are images of, Arab kids or Muslim kids walking down the street with Israeli kids or Jewish kids. And that's the beauty. That's that bridge. That's an empathy and understanding that we need in the adults and the commanders and the leaders, that somehow we've got to get together and begin to work on a two-state solution. And Qatar has been that bridge, trying to work through the negotiations on releasing the
I think that the answer begins with a two-state solution so that you give people a feeling of pride and purpose. Okay. And when you start doing that, but I don't think you're ever going to stop Israel from bullying them. I just don't. I think that this is a bloodthirst part of their religion.
It's a history that's there, and somehow history. That history, there has to be a bridge built, because we have to figure out if, say, for example, because even the Israeli government itself is what's doing a lot of the control on this, and this is Netanyahu, who is the head of this, and the people that he put in place that are causing a lot of problems, because even the Israeli people, they were at one point wanting to get rid of Netanyahu, which would have been great. The same way the Palestinian people wanted to get rid of Hamas. But then this happened. Now who are the two people that are groups that are benefiting the most? Again, I'm not saying that Netanyahu asked for it, but Netanyahu did prop up Hamas because he was still trying to stay in charge. And Hamas didn't want the two-state solution because, again, that causes a problem for their end game, which is to go all the way to, kill Israelis.
But how many people has Israel killed in Palestine or with Gaza in the past, even past year before Hamas did what they did? How many people were they killing this year? And the UN had kept numbers of this. So I think it was, where victims of being bullied just said enough. I think if we did a little bit of history about Hamas, we're going to find out that they do have a lot of hate and contention against Israel because they were prisoners to Israel before they were negotiated out. One of them had quite a story. He worked for a nonprofit organization in Israel trying to help people. And they somehow or another rigged up that he was trading arms and put him in prison. And I guess maybe when he got out, he's like, you know what, I've had enough of you. So I think that, there's a lot of propaganda that is on both sides, and you just need to sit down, like you said, get to the root of the problem. Why? Well, when I'm going to tell you honestly, as mad as I was when 9/11 happened, the first thing that went through my mind, because I'm a troubleshooter, that's what I do, was what did we do to aggravate somebody in another part of the world so bad to do this to us? What did we do? Or do they just purely hate anyone that is not of their faith? So that's the first question I asked myself, because you can't go after them not understanding why they did what they did. And we have a tendency, and don't say we don't, we have a tendency of butting our nose in where it don't belong. So, I mean, we probably, rustled up some feathers somewhere, and then they sat patiently for years and planned to retaliate. And you just have to look at why.
My thing, just to interject, what I thought, especially when that was going on, was in my first, I didn't even ask the question of what was the root. I started getting into the habit of asking what was the root. So I'll be completely honest on that, because my first question was, one, I'm heartfelt, just like you were heartfelt for the individuals that are being what happened, the people killed, the families that are affected, the neighbors, the whole area that was affected, the country itself that was affected. Then I started, okay, I don't want, my thought became, as angry as I am, even at October 7th, as angry as I am, I cannot, and I will not allow myself to champion or cheer on anyone's death, because that is exactly what these individuals are doing. And
as
I
a
will
Native
not
American Indian heritage, we're taught to respect those lives.
Yep.
And
so,
to me, that's the truest form of God.
Yep. I wanted justice, but the justice I wanted was because in film, in history, what's the easiest way to escape justice? Death. So if you give somebody death, then that's not seeking justice for everybody.
No, it's not seeking justice. But in that same line and along those same kind of things and everything, I do sometimes wonder if we have not created the monster ourselves, because that's one of the things that cross my mind is a lot of times, whether it is Noriega and the drug trafficking, or whether it is even Hamas and some of the militants in the Arab community and all along those lines, a lot of that was actually U.S. trained. So we actually trained a lot of the folks that then turned against us for whatever reasons they turned against us. And there are some folks that are, there's some of the conspiracy theories that don't make total sense, but they do might be based in some reality. And sort of that is, when we are in economic hard times, one of the greatest ways to get out of economic hard times is to deal with war and things along those lines. So there have definitely been some folks that would say that this is not accidental, some of this things that are going on, whether it's Ukraine or whether it's Israel, because if there are economic hard times, if you look historically, that is oftentimes when we find ourselves in these kind of situations, because it is a economic engine as well. I hate to put it that way, but it's the truth historically that it can be a very powerful economic engine also. So that's some of the things that cross my mind as well.
And don't forget to watch some of our better shows too that come along during the day. Now, this is a great show. I love it, guys. But Sasha has this wonderful investing show, because we need to look out for our best interests too, right? And one of those ways is to learn about the interest that earns or doesn't earn in our economic world. And so don't forget to watch Sasha's investment show. He also does a wonderful job covering the problems with the Ukraine and Russia and China. So don't forget to watch some of our other shows.
Yeah, don't forget his chess show either. He's got a great chess show that definitely has some amazing conversations around chess and some powerful games and all along those lines. I was going to just mention really quickly as we get ready to wind down, and maybe Sasha has some final thoughts that he wants to share, but I was going to mention a comedian that was in the news, and Jacoby, you'll love this comedian because you brought him up in the Ukraine I mean, not the Ukraine, but in the Israel situation. But John Oliver made news again because apparently a bird that he was lobbying for won the right to be crowned the bird of the century over there in New Zealand. But apparently, and I know you mentioned John Oliver before, even in that whole space of the Israel conflict, but apparently he did some great social media campaigning and regular campaigning, even having billboards in New Zealand, Japan, France, the UK, India. And for some reason, even though I don't think there are a lot of Kiwis in Wisconsin, he had them in Wisconsin as well. And there was a plane with a Podketeke campaign. That's apparently the name of the bird. It's spelled Teketeke, but that's the bird that won and has been apparently the bird of the century, according to New Zealand, because they had a whole poll and they spent a lot of money doing this. But apparently it grunts, it pukes, and it has a highly unusual repertoire of mating rituals. So apparently John is in the news again because he even came dressed up as this bird, and apparently it won a contest because it was run by an environmental organization, and usually their competitions usually just get 60,000 votes, but this year the figure goes up to 350,000 across 195 countries. Maybe that's why they had the campaign there in Wisconsin and everything. But yeah, he was in the news lobbying for the bird of the century, and the bird of the century won and everything, because I saw a couple of bird stories. I also saw that there is a killer bird. I didn't know that there were killer birds in Australia. I wish that Shaquille was here so he could tell me about it, because apparently there is a killer bird there in Australia, and it has emerged as the world's most dangerous bird, and beachgoers are scrambling around Queensland and other places because they're saying that it is the world's most dangerous bird, and it's emerged from the ocean, stunning visitors. And when I look at the bird, it looks like a big giant ostrich and everything. So I don't know what it is about this bird that is particularly killer and all along those lines. But then again, I'm not in Australia. We'll have to get in touch with Shaquille and find out what's the deal with this killer bird.
Everything deadly comes out of Australia.
That is true, and everything. Tasha, I know we went over, but and I did that intentionally because I knew we had that break and everything. But do you want to give folks just any of your final thoughts, and also anything that you want to give a plug for Modern Investment, which I know will be coming up in about roughly an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes?
Well, considering investments, the market was absolutely, I'd say, spectacular in the last few days, and almost all stocks are going higher and higher. And it seems to me that the worries about inflations are coming down, and maybe interests will not only will stop going higher, but maybe it will start going lower, at least next year. So that's what I would expect. Now, I was listening a lot about your conversations about this Israel, Hamas, and all that stuff. I'm surprised that while you're crying about the Palestinians and their children, why not anybody crying about the Afghanis Muslims who are being absolutely ruthlessly evicted from Pakistan, where they lived for a number of years, and they'll just take houses and so on. They're now all being deported back to Afghanistan, and a lot of people won't even make it. How about the Muslim population of China, so-called Uyghurs, who have their own culture and language? They're Muslims, and China is just doing a lot of atrocities toward them. Nobody cares. Nobody says a word. But because it's Israel, the hateful state of hated Jews, now is taking care of the Gaza. Everybody is so concerned about it, and Jews are murderers, and they're killing babies, and they always kill babies, and they're not killing just Muslims, they're killing Christians as well, and all that stuff. I've heard that some time ago, it was 100 years ago, and 300 and 500 years ago, it was always part of the mainstream Christian culture to blame Jews on everything and saying what terrible people they are, or so on. But I would say that Israel doesn't need our help. Israel is a country that takes the business of protecting their citizens and their country very seriously. And fortunately, they have means to do that. So I would say anybody wants to help Gaza, the Muslims, Ajdovi, you're fairly young, you can still go there and fight Israelis and defend these Gaza people. I'm not talking about Hamas. Go to help these Palestinians. Now you're saying that Palestinians are not Hamas. Okay, Hamas, okay, leave them alone. They will all die in the next couple of days anyway. Palestinians is a different story. Go there, take a rifle, and start helping them. Oh, nobody will do it. Going to nations and say, "Oh,
no idea what you're talking about."
No,
I mean, let's get to something. Get some semblance of sense.
Crying about poor Palestinians being killed by Israel. What I'm suggesting to you,
you started off with the Afghanistan, the Afghan people being removed from where?
Oh, from Pakistan.
Okay, so the Afghan people are being removed from Pakistan. Hold on. And you're saying that nobody cares about that, even though there have been many news reports. And there was actually a protest about the Uyghurs in China, and there's still actually a lot of problems going on with the genocide of the Uyghurs in China, which has been all over the news. So two things you are actually wrong about to start off with. And then you go into this, where you're telling everybody because, oh, you should go over and shoot for the... Nobody wants anybody dead. What are you talking about? We're talking about humanity. People are asking for a little bit more safety, a little bit. They want humanitarian aid for the people that are struggling in the Gaza Strip, in Gaza right now, and that's all people are asking for. That includes the Palestinian Americans that are there, the Palestinians from other countries that are there, the individuals from other countries, including the Americans, and the hostages that are there from other countries as well, including the Israelis and the Jewish individuals that are there as well. So people are begging for humanitarian aid for these people that are dying. It is horrible, a very horrible situation. From news organization after news organization, the UN, everybody says that it is in dire straits. It's basically it is a open air prison. It is a death sentence to individuals that live there at this moment because they're being bombed. 6,000 bombs have dropped within a week on top of Gaza in a place that is not very big, but very densely populated. So you're talking about 2 million people in the place the size of, we'll say, Toronto. So, 6,000 bombs dropped on top of these people just to get how many Hamas members? They've killed how many Hamas members since that? But they've killed also 10,000 Palestinian people. Again, it gets back to the fact that I don't think what everybody's asking for is that, in your opinion, Hamas, these individuals are the deaths of these individuals worth the 1 or 2 people that you've killed, the 12 people, the 100? How are you saying that the 10,000 deaths are worth anything? Should we not care for these people? Should we not feel sympathy or empathy for the people who are just being there was a child who had his arm blown off. He was an Israeli kid who was trying to save individuals, save hostages, which he did a phenomenal job and saved people. And he ended up dying because he was throwing grenades away. Yes, he was an Israeli child. My heart goes out to him and his family. It is sad. But the same way, there was a child that was sick in the hospital that got blown up by the Israeli bombs. My heart goes out to them as well. Does that make me a supporter of Hamas? No, I'm a supporter of humanity. I give no craps about Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They've done atrocities. They are against peace and they brought harm on the Palestinian people. But again, get it right. We can agree Israel has a right to defend themselves. Israel had motivation and had a right to respond, but they had a choice in how they responded. That's where the difference is.
Well, maybe they're not as skillful as one would want them to be. Maybe they're not. Maybe they have to learn something from their American friends and some other friends or whatever. Maybe they're not very good at learning from others. So they defend themselves, their country, their people, the way they know how to do it. Maybe it's wrong, but that's what they know.
Again,
They cannot do
you're
it.
missing the point, Sasha.
Yeah.
How many innocent civilians must die? That's the point. How many must die to justify this?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Remember,
Don't give me an example. I need an answer. How many is okay for you to justify?
I'm trying to explain it to you.
No, you said you were giving me an example. I don't need an example. I just need an answer.
Okay. I'll give you the number, but I want to explain to you how I arrived at that number. Remember that there was the soldier officer. His name was Tal Gilad. He was captured 5 years ago, and he was exchanged for about 1,200 Palestinian prisoners. Okay, so the ratio is 1 to 1,200. Okay, so if Palestinians or Hamas, okay, they killed 1,400 Israelis on October 7th. If you multiply 1,400 by 1,200, what's the number would be? The number would be almost 3 million, right?
So you're saying that to justify the killings, genocide is okay.
Well, in this case, I don't think that genocide is the aim of Israel.
2 million people are in Gaza.
Okay.
That's how many people were there. There what 12 million people total, but 2 million people there. And you're saying that it is okay to kill all 2 million people because that would justify.
You are missing the
justified
point.
Based on October 7th.
You're missing the point that the Palestinians.
No, I asked you a simple question.
Hey, listen. Your question is much longer than my answers. When you ask question, you talk for about 15 minutes. I'll tell you my answer in a minute and a half, maybe even faster.
You're rambling on about complaining about questions.
You're missing the point that it's not Israel's goal to kill as many Palestinians as you may think they want to kill. Absolutely not. It's byproduct of the much wider approach, which is to kill all Hamas people. So if Hamas people build their infrastructure and their offices and the weapons
So again,
in hospitals,
are you saying
to take over these points, you have to go to the hospital.
Now,
and sometimes there could be
killing innocent people. You're for innocent people being killed. We've gotten that.
Need innocent people
so
being.
Here's the question then, because you're saying that Hamas should be killed. You're saying that all Hamas people of Hamas should be killed.
Yeah.
Even though you're killing everybody else. So
I don't care about anybody else. All I say.
So here's the question. Here's the question.
Period.
Here's the question. Hamas is based on an ideology. And you're saying that we need to kill that ideology. And when we went in with that same mindset about killing Al-Qaeda, ISIS popped up. So when you go in and murder tons of people, innocent civilians, do you believe that you're going to create something else?
No, I don't. You know why? At the end of the operation, there will be no Gaza. Gaza will be completely destroyed. There will not.
And wait a second. So this confrontation has a lot to deal with is Israel occupying Gaza in the West Bank. Because again, the Palestinian people want their land. And if you say that it will not be there because it will be gone. What about the Palestinian people?
Well, there are Palestinian people, but they have no land and will not have a land.
So then you're saying,
Okay.
you're basically feeding into the same ideology that started all this, aren't you?
In 1967,
I'm asking
Israel
you a
won
question.
6 days war and got the Gaza from Egypt and West Bank from the.
So Israel was formed when?
So it's a business.
Israel was formed when?
What your question?
Israel was formed when? You just said it.
Yeah, Israel won 6 days war, and as a result,
So Israel was formed then. It was taken from who?
Listen to me. I'm trying to help you out.
You're
don't
jumping
know
around because you're trying to paint you're trying to sugarcoat and forget all this stuff.
It's-
It was
okay.
taken from
There
that land was taken from somebody.
It's the land
Was taken from somebody.
It was taken from Egypt, and the West Bank was taken.
Who was living there?
I don't care who
The
was
Palestinian
living.
people.
Okay, right now all this.
So I'm again.
Right
you
now,
are trying to
all this
sugarcoat
land-
over things that
my
are
friend,
part of a
My
problem and
friend,
part of the histrionics.
all this land today belongs to Israel. Palestinians have no business to be there. They all have to leave.
So then
Please,
again, Sasha,
They have to
what
leave.
you are saying,
Yeah.
is that the Palestinian people do not deserve land, they do not
No.
deserve
Not
to
in
basically
Israel.
live.
They deserve land whenever. You know what? If they will start fighting Kuwait, and will
Again,
take some parts of
so
Kuwait
the two-state
make their own
solution, which is
country.
actually a solution that the Palestinian
No,
people
there will be
want,
no.
you
no.
are stating that is not an option because that is
No.
Israel's land because it took it away before.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, there's no option.
So therefore, you again are stating and you are pushing the problem.
I'm not pushing anything. What I'm saying is that this
You
Israel,
are
as a result
stating
of 6 days war,
and
it
saying
got its
the
land.
problem.
It's Israel's land. Period. Full stop. So all they're
Again,
trying, they were playing some games.
You are
with Hamas and
Sasha, you
Arafat
are
all over.
saying you are actually pushing and promoting the problem.
It's
You
all
are
over.
literally saying that it is okay for Israel to occupy the
No,
area
it's
that
not
the
occupied. It's its country. It's
Again,
its right.
occupy
No,
the
listen.
Palestinian
Okay.
people's
You know
land.
what is right way to
You are
do?
saying it's okay to occupy
Israel-
Gaza.
Yeah,
Do
listen.
you understand why these wars have been happening over the past 15
don't-
years? Not
Listen.
only because Hamas being a terrorist organization,
Israel,
they are basing it on the
it
fact
doesn't
that,
matter what
that
organization they
the
are.
Palestinian people are upset about.
Okay,
are-
I'm quiet. Okay, go.
the Palestinian. You don't seem to understand that what happened October 7th and the advent or the invention of Hamas, this whole war back and forth over occupation is a problem, but yet you continue to push that there is no occupation because that land really is just Israel's land. That's occupation. That is one of the biggest reasons that this war is going on. Because if you listen to the Palestinian people, be it Palestinian American, you listen even for the Jewish and what's that group, Mark? The Jewish
Voice for Peace. Jewish
Yeah.
Voices for Peace.
They talk about that problem as well. So Jewish and the Jewish people know, the Israeli people know that occupation is a problem. The fact that even before, I think it was a week before, Israel was coming in and actually removing Palestinian people from their homes and kicking them out of their homes for no reason other than to occupy their homes in Gaza. So again, Hamas is a terrorist organization. Everybody condemns Hamas. What they did was an atrocious thing. Everybody agrees that it was an atrocity. Everybody agrees that Israel has a right to defend itself. Everybody agrees. But what is a solution? A solution is not killing all the Palestinian people. A solution is not just occupying the West Bank. That is not a solution. That is what is continually causing this problem. And that is part of, I won't say that's the whole thing. That is part of the problem. And that is what the Palestinian people say. That is what the Israeli people say. But yet you want to create the problem.
Jetovi, I think it would be much more honest approach if you will leave Israelis, leave Palestinians, and let them figure out who is right and who is wrong and what they can come up with, some maybe peace, maybe not peace, or so on. Neither you nor I cannot do anything about it. So I wouldn't even discuss it. What's going to happen is that the October 7th has its consequences. They will be ugly. They are ugly already. Okay? But that's when the one country starts the war against the other country.
Do you understand what you just said?
Become losers.
Do you understand what you just said? I don't think you really understand what you just said.
Yes, I do very well.
Let me explain to you, because you obviously do not. You said that these two we have to stay out because these two will figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, over the past hundreds of years, they haven't figured it out. And then on top of that, yeah, sure, us arguing about it isn't going to be the answer and going to create this whole two-state solution. But what you are advocating for is throwing more gasoline into the fire that is the ethos that's in between the whole thing. Because you just literally said, hold on, let me finish. You just literally said that, they will figure it out because that Israel and October 7th will be justified. So you already stated that the killing of the Palestinian people is justified because of
that. You're putting words
Hamas.
in my mouth. I don't need your interpretation. I know exactly.
I'm just saying what I heard.
What I'm saying, there are two countries. Here is Palestinians with Hamas. Here is Israel. One country attack another one. There is a war. They will figure that out. Who is the winner, who is the loser, and so on. I'm not interested even to
It's
discuss.
not two countries. You had a terrorist organization go
I don't care.
inside of Israel.
I don't care. I know there is a country.
Then turned around and said
With Hamas
the Palestinian people don't want Hamas.
Period. Full of stuff. I don't want to bother to explain. Oh, Hamas is this, and the Palestinians are those.
Because you just want
I don't
death.
care. I just don't
You
care.
don't care about the Yes, you said that over and over. You do not care about the Palestinian people. You do not care about the Palestinian Americans or the Israelis or the Jews or even the hostages that are there. You don't care. You just want death.
And on that note, hold on a second. On that note,
on
that note, we'll end right now and everything, and we'll end the show, and we'll have some more discussion on tomorrow about this and other world issues as well. I know that at 1 o'clock we'll have.
Could you please send me a link to 5 o'clock show like yesterday? You sent me in the last 10 seconds before the show.
It's not today. It's Thursday. It's not today. It's Thursday.
No, I know. But yesterday, your link came about 10 seconds before the
I will send it today. I'll send it today for World Politics.
Send it today, so I will plan my time.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, we'll see you on Investment Show. It will be much lovelier and more sort of more productive, I would say. Productive, I mean, here and there, than all this business, Israel and Hamas and Palestinians and so on. They will figure it out, they will figure it out.
We'll have a close discussion with you and Jim and Milan about modern investment at 1 o'clock. But right now, we're going to get out of here and we'll discuss World Edition tomorrow as well as World Politics on tomorrow as well. So we definitely have no problem at all.
See you. Bye-bye.